To my mom.
I heard you say hi to her last week.
Yeah, I always send it to her. So hopefully maybe I'll just text her. Hey, you
Yeah.
guys. So hold on a second if you're just joining. Normally, my mom is in here and I send her the live in advance. So hold on a second, you guys. Let me text my
Take your
mom.
time. Mom is
Um,
important, and I'm
Let
going
me
to turn
text
my
my
alarms off.
mom. Hold on, I
Hey,
have to tell
Mom.
her. Come on. Okay. I have to tell mom. I know I do. Okay. Hey, Alan.
Yes.
Hey, you guys.
Hi,
Welcome
Anna.
tonight. My name is Tracy Collins. Thank you so much for joining me again on Friday Night Live. I'm so excited to have my sister girl, Michelle Wedderburn of Casa Elm, with me, and we're going to talk all things business, which is one of my most favorite things to talk about. My mom is here. Oh, she says mom is here. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
When I tell you, Elwanda, I apologize for not sending you this in advance.
Hola,
So,
Mom.
so I do call my mom by her first name sometimes.
Elwanda. I
I
like it.
do. Happy Friday to you too, AC. Okay. So so I had to text my mom. All right, now I can focus. So we're going to talk entrepreneurship abroad. But if you are meeting me for the very first time, my name is Tracy Collins, and here on my channel, I talk all things business, wellness, and my life here in Mexico, specifically San Miguel de Allende. And tonight we are talking entrepreneurship abroad. So I'm excited. I'm excited to, like I said, talk to my sister girl, Michelle. And ever since I met Michelle, let me tell you just a little bit of background. So I virtually met Michelle in my head when I learned of San Miguel de Allende. And Michelle, I actually saw you on Aging Great. No, that's Poppy's channel. You know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about her. Yeah.
modern aging with
Modern
Weezy.
Aging. And
Mhm.
I learned about Michelle and Casa Elm that way. And then I started doing a deep dive into San Miguel de Allende and Michelle and what she does. And I kind of not stalked her, but learned about San Miguel, but it was never on my radar to live until we came here and we met. And Michelle made like a kind of snarky face, and I was like, oh, that's my kind of girl right there. It was
Really?
like it
What did
was.
I do?
I will forever like remember that day because Danielle was right next to me and Elton. You were like, "Really? Is it?" And I was like, okay. So anyway, you guys,
I remember that. Sorry. Sorry for the snarky face.
so but that was when I connected and we connected that day. And our relationship has just kind of just grown ever since. And we have things brewing in the background. But one of the things that she and I share in common is entrepreneurship and longevity in that space. So I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to let Michelle go into introducing herself.
I don't remember the snarky face. We'll talk about that after.
I do.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm Michelle. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your channel. I absolutely love you. I love the group of ladies. Yeah, we're doing all our amazing, beautiful things in this chapter of our lives. And I live in San Miguel de Allende. I've been here since 2018. And I've just kind of had the pleasure of seeing the city grow with so much diversity. And it's just like makes me so happy to see more of us exploring, living in other places in the world and not just where we were born or where our parents, brought us or whatever. And while we're here, yes, 2018, find an alum. Yes. And while we're, here doing our things, I absolutely find it, incredibly amazing the support. I think Tracy probably can attest to this that probably it wasn't this way when we lived in the United States. I've tried many of businesses. I did have a sister friend in Texas years and years ago that I partnered with, and I've done lots of different things along the way. But in saying all of that, the support and the encouragement and the inspiration, it just exists here, and it just helps kind of push through that process. So in saying all of that, I love living in San Miguel. I love Mexico. I've had lots of years of experience in Mexico. Previously, I visited San Miguel in 2005 when it was really a sleepy town. I was much younger, and I thought, what am I supposed to do here? And then fast forward to having my child and wanting to live somewhere where it was a little bit more family, felt safer, just kind of more community based, and also away from the United States. That was pretty much my biggest motivation for wanting to move out of the country and having like a lot of thoughts around what would I do once I got here as a semi-retired person back then. But I always had the mindset to do something. So here I am, and I absolutely love what I'm doing now. We'll get deeper into that in the conversation, but it's been really an amazing journey, and I'm super happy to share all of my experiences with you all and how we get it done.
So, like Michelle, talk about just your experience before moving to Mexico. What was your experience, your entrepreneurial journey in the States?
Okay, so I graduated high school in, I'm going to go way back in 86. Yes, I'm that old. And I think I always had like that sense of I want to do my own thing. I don't know exactly what. I remember always wanting to have my own magazine. If there are even magazines, and nowadays I know that they've kind of phased out more and more, but I remember wanting to have my own magazine. I don't remember what the topic was going to be about, but pretty much, hey Dee, she said 87 right here. Yes, so you get it. And pretty much, I always had like these ideas about having a business of some sort, but I also worked because I was conditioned to thinking, get the job, get the 401k, nothing wrong with that. Work in a corporate setting, climb up the corporate ladder, go to school at night. So I did all of these things for a long time, way longer than the norm. I did these things for over 10, maybe 15 years. I definitely worked 15 years in corporate, but it took me a longer time to get my 4-year degree and just kind of continue pushing through the school setting because I always went at night. I had full-time jobs. So fast forward to probably like more like the mid 90s, I really had like a lot of opportunities to travel. And through my travels, I always thought I'll have like a little boutique store where I can collect world goods and sell them because, sometimes you can't find certain things in the city that you're living in. And then you see things when you travel. At least for me, I always felt inspired to just kind of like bring certain things back, sort of like the concept of world goods, right? I don't know if you all remember that store, World Market, or something like this. It wasn't quite a pair one concept, but I wanted to do that with kind of like teas and coffees and like a little bookshop area and all that. And fast forward a little bit more to partnering with a friend in Texas. I did do some of that. I brought some really cool clothes from and jewelry and things from Ecuador when I visited, and just like handmade things. And we were selling them online, et cetera, et cetera. And then fast forward to my life in Florida, I also started like catering, but a little bit of so these are all the things that popped out of my head, right? So I know seems like there's no like rhyme or reason because there isn't. It's just things that, I hope this inspires you to think broadly about your talents and the things you enjoy doing. So the food inspired idea kind of came about through my travels and my Caribbean background. So I wanted to bring and specialize in just having jerk foods. So the concept of the jerk and how and where the jerk started in terms of the Caribbean food, jerk chicken and all that, that's normal. But I ended up having my own catering business where I infused my travels to Asia and different places in the world into this concept of my heritage. So I literally had a company there as well in Florida for a few years called Charky. And Charky is the original name that was a part of what jerk came from. So it wasn't always called jerk. It was called charqui for fire and charcoal, and how they used to prepare the foods in Jamaica. And they would prepare them this way because they didn't have refrigeration and things like that. So fast forward, this was something I did. I did mostly like festivals and concerts and things. I would get a table. And so, it just kind of shows the journey. And then after that, when I was pretty much going into having my child, and I said, "Oh, I don't want to work for anyone, right? I don't have the the perfect setup in terms of work and paychecks and things, but I didn't want to work for anyone, and I also didn't want to continue doing what I was doing. So even while I was pregnant, I always loved interior design, as you can kind of see behind me. I started a company while I was pregnant. It was called Spaces by Cassandra, which is my middle name. And I had clients calling me. I just posted, I created a website and I created things that I put pictures out and designs out that I was able to do over the years. And, I created this during my pregnancy, and I had clients calling me, help me fix my house, help me do this. I just bought a space, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to my last business in Florida, which was a property service business. And it started where I don't know if I'm going to get this fully straight, but I was inspired to help people who had money to pay me to find them the right ideal fit for a nanny or whatever. And it was kind of like a lifestyle concierge concept.
The concierge concept, yeah.
Right. And, I had like some clients, like I had a client who's the owner. He's actually the owner of Patron Tequila, which I know we're all probably a lot of us are familiar with, definitely in South Florida. And, I just remember thinking like, oh, they don't want to do all this stuff themselves and et cetera. So I started with this concept, which really, there's a whole lot more to the backstory. So I'll just kind of keep it short. But, it wasn't what it was supposed to be initially. So I hope it helps you understand that you have an idea, but you can develop the idea as you see the need and the niche. And it doesn't have to stay in this box or these two boxes, right? You have to, we talk about this pivot, right? You have to be ready to say, oh, I need to do this, or I need to try that, or I heard about this. Or if you hear someone else doing something that sounds really in alignment with what your idea is, like be willing to not feel any kind of way and say, you know what, okay, maybe I can team with that person, or I'll talk to them and, get some additional ideas, or maybe I can incorporate parts and pieces. So this is pretty much what happened. I thought I was going to be this lifestyle concierge company, finding people to fit the rich and the famous, fulfill their needs and manage the process, et cetera, because I was already kind of starting down that road. I had people in the Hamptons that I knew that were contacting me in South Florida. Oh, come to South Florida. Can you find us a person? Da, 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 da. And so in the long run, my idea and concept totally turned into property management company. And it's interesting how it got there, because I actually started interviewing people before I had work, because I wanted to have the people kind of like lined up. And I also was bending the universe in some ways, right? I was preparing for this to work. I didn't have any clients when I started it. I just had the card, and I'm telling you, I went out. I used to walk my dog, and I remember dropping my kid off at daycare, and I had gone to, I think it was kind of an Easter Sunday type service at a non-denomination church, and the minister handed us these little mustard seeds, and she said, here's your mustard seed. Have faith in whatever it is that you're doing. And I had this mustard seed, and it just inspired me. That message inspired me. And I went out, and I remember dropping Mike off at daycare, and he was much younger. And I was walking my dog, and I was just out in the park, and I literally held up my cards that I had made, right? And I was like, okay, here it is. What do you want me to do with this, right? Here it is. Like, here's the name, here's the description, what do you want me to do? I don't know who exactly I could say I was talking to. I do believe in God, but I also believe in universe. I do believe in divine order. And, I made a phone call about something completely unrelated to this business. And in 24 hours, I had a woman who offered me to be what I needed to be on that card. And she said, I think she said, I have 180 properties in my portfolio. Go to this address tomorrow and give me a quote to do this work. This was for like me thinking I'm going to be all lifestyle, whatever. She said, I need someone to turn this house over, basically a turnover for new property that, not a new property, but someone moved out and someone else is moving in. And I said, oh, I have people, that I hired that, not hired, but that can work for me, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I went to this place, and next thing you know, I'm just like, I'm in business, and then I see needs, because it wasn't just go and clean it or go and do this. I literally stopped and I said, I have people who can fix this. You don't have to leave your office, right? I will make it ready for you in 3 to 5 days. If you give me this business, I will make it ready for you. You don't have to leave. I'm now going to be a property service, not a lifestyle concierge. I'm going to now be a property service company. And that was the pivot for me, right? Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, I went from $0 to this crazy amount of money in like a year, and then the next year, and then the year after. It was just really having like the faith again in doing, and that has helped me on this journey being here in Mexico. So it's a long history, but
oh my God. So these are the nuggets that I got, and I hope you guys pick this up. Number one is not being afraid to try different avenues and different ventures. I think in entrepreneurship, people think you have to be linear and focused, not realizing in entrepreneurship, it requires a level of innovation and creativity that will keep you going and keep you paid. And then also having a mustard seed of faith. So I hope y'all pick that up. And I hope y'all go get some mustard seeds, because it really only takes a mustard seed. So make sure, go get some mustard seeds, pass it out to your like-minded friends, and everybody where you work in your space or wherever you create your money or have your dreams, get a mustard seed, you write it down and you pray over it, and let that mustard seed be your focus. Absolutely. And then also how what you did in Florida from the property management turnover, the turnover that you were able to create that business, how it helped you to navigate and create Casa Elm here in Mexico. Absolutely. So now talk about like how Casa Elm came to be in Mexico and that journey, because we're going to fast forward to the evolution of that for you.
Absolutely. So when I first moved here, as many of you who follow us, collectively us, I was married, and, we came here. I definitely planned on doing something, right? My initial idea was to have like a woman's retreat of some sort. I didn't have a space for it. I didn't have a grand master plan, but again, I have the faith, and I know I had the know-how to figure it out, right? I always say, and and I mean, I'm sure people could, debate on this, but I always say there's no way you're gonna do all this work and nothing happens, right? So
Mhm.
I really believe that, you push through the adversity, the challenges, et cetera. So my idea was, okay, I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing here, but I think that I want to have retreats for moms, mostly people with children who don't slow down like myself. When I was in Florida, I just felt always busy. I still feel busy, but I felt extra busy, and just kind of realized when I got here, like, wow, okay, like, what next, right? I don't have a business. I'm just like chilling, and I'm trying to adjust to life in Mexico. And anyway, through all of these different things and transitions, I started little by little looking into um, places. I think that was sort of where I started with trying to be inspired to see spaces where what my vision looked like was to have like very spiritual, quiet, meditation, self care, things like this, right? It wasn't really based on a personal experience at the time. And I remember it kind of diving into types of retreats. And I thought, well, what's my focus, right? Okay, yes, busy moms, but what's the story, right? Like, what's the thing that
Mhm.
is going to be me saying why you should come to this retreat, right? Why should you fly to Mexico? Of course, you can create a beautiful space, but I think retreats are, to me, very spiritual, and you should connect to whatever it is that's happening there. So got busy, right, with life, and then COVID and all these things. And I remember at the end of 2019, I was kind of like, now I'm really going to plan for summer of 2020 to do this retreat. I'm still looking for spaces. I still have an idea, but it doesn't, now that I think about it and think back, it didn't really have like a thing. But I had so many people at that time between 2019 and 2020 with COVID pandemic contacting me about moving to Mexico. I used to share the pages that were very limited on Facebook because I was so excited to see more and more people moving, more and more people who look like us moving to San Miguel, but also moving to Mexico in general. And people would say, well, I don't want to live at the beach. And then someone would say, well, Michelle lives over here in the mountains, call her. And then I realized again, there was a need. So once I got off, one time I got off a phone call that lasted for like 3 hours, and I was like, oh no, I gotta make a business out of this, right? I'm going to do some online consultations, and let me see how this goes. I created a presence, and I actually started, as some of you may know, if you go back in my history, I started with Afro expats, and
Mhm.
it wasn't to be separate, just being clear about that, because I think people took it as it was only for people of color, Black folks, but it wasn't. It was me saying all the time, I want you to see my life in Mexico through my Black lens, because there wasn't a lot of representation from people who look like me. And when I was doing my research, I found hardly any, mostly things that were vacation based, not living in Mexico. So I said, you know what? There's a need to educate. There's a need to educate in the sense of it's a big country. Don't just get stuck in the beach frame of mind. If that's not for you, like, do your homework, do your due diligence, do your research. Don't make the mistakes that I made, because I made a bunch that cost me a lot of money. And so all of these things kind of helped me formulate what a need was. And some of my first clients have now since been to Casa Elm 4 times. Some of my first consultations, like Miss Gloria, anyone here that knows her, I love me some Miss Gloria. She was one of my first, probably 5 consultations in 2020. And when I got Casa Elm, she's been here since 2021. She's been here several times. So 2022, sorry. So in saying all of that, like Casa Elm, whew, it came about because what I realized when I started putting all of this together, we were doing consultations, or I was doing consultations. I said, you know what? People want to experience the space. They want to come to the city. And, I saw a few like examples of relocation tours in other countries. And I said, well, there's really nothing here that I can see where people are giving like a full week or so of or more of educating folks on how to move the right way. And so I started again without having the space was to do the project, right? Which is let's do a relocation tour and I'll borrow space from someone else. And it took off. I had several folks who just jumped in and started joining webinars. We had free webinars and people were getting on. My clients were getting on. Other people were getting on through, the various expat groups on Facebook. And they had so many questions. And I just started thinking like, okay, I'm on here talking for like 1-2 hours. And I was just like, okay, there's a need, right? The need is like slapping me in my face, right? And so I remember I reached out to someone I partnered with initially on the relocation, but then I called the guy in Central and I said, hey, I'm bringing a group, would you be willing to work with me on pricing? And, kind of, the whole logistics of them paying and deposits or whatever before I pay for the space or whatever, because that's always a challenge if you're trying to get a space on Airbnb. It's like pay up front and then try to sell it. So, he was very nice, very flexible. And he was like, yeah, so on. He's like, let's see, I'll tentatively pencil you in for, it was actually for February, I believe, of 2022. And with all the things and my own personal life and my own journeys and all the stress that was going on from the personal space, it was sort of, again, to me, I just really listened to intuition. It was, you know what? You have this major pain in your side that you need to take out. And here are all the things you can do to take it out and be okay. So that for me was the push because I had a few months of just really being like a cat in a box because I know you all are like, oh, you're so sweet, you don't share. I'm really a cat in a box. Right? And when my back is against the wall, I'm a fighter. And so I was literally like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to do, so I got my whole Black girl attitude on and I was just like, okay, I got these clients who want to come, whatever. And I started thinking about stuff. And I remember I had a whole week, a Monday through Thursday of just this thing on my spirit. And it's like, go to this neighborhood and drive. Monday, I didn't do it. Tuesday, I didn't do it. Wednesday, I didn't do it. And Thursday, I was just in like a fog. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Whatever. Lots of distractions, right? We can let life distract us. And finally, on Thursday, my son was sick. I brought him to school, went and picked him up at 12. And I said, today's the day. I'm driving that neighborhood. And I drove this neighborhood for 2 hours, no realtor, no nothing. And I found this space. That is divine order. And it was meant to be. And all of the things that pushed me, whether it was adversity, negativity, whatever, it's like, think about what is happening in your world, right? And where am I supposed to be in purpose, right? What's my purpose? because your purpose can make you money. Your purpose can push you down the road that will allow you to expand yourself. And as I said, when you know something is what you need to do, you got to listen to that, And I saw all the things. It's not like I just woke up one day and said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do relocation shows." There was a need. People were contacting me for a year, 2 years. And I put myself out there and shared my life, shared my story. I was really being vulnerable. A lot of times entrepreneurs are vulnerable, right? We're putting ourselves out there, and we're risking money and circumstances or whatever. And so when I found this space, I had so much like anxiety and nervousness around it, but in the end, it's been a blessing. And I didn't have a grand master plan, but there was a need. And I remember just kind of contacting that guy, and I said, I don't need the space anymore. But then I hit the ground running, and I was just like, okay, if I have to move my personal furniture into the space to make it be what it needs to be, I will. And so that's pretty much like the kind of, you know, change along the way to getting to this place, or getting to the start of Casa Elm, and really having faith in it's gonna be okay.
Now, what all does Casa Elm do? Because it's a guest house, but what all does Casa Elm do besides relocation tours?
I really think it's a healing space. I really feel that if I had to put the big umbrella on it, it's a healing space because uh, you become almost a unintentional psychologist for people who have been beat up by living in the United States or wherever they're coming from, right? From life, their jobs, their work. And when they come here, it's not, a sit down and let's talk about all the negative things. It's just you can see them getting like lighter, and the layers are shedding, and they're just like amazed at the experiences that they're having, the emotions that they're feeling. So we do a lot of things, like we have a lot of planned things that are, relocation week. We just finished a whole month of sabbatical. We were, full here, thankfully. We had three amazing women who stayed for the whole month, and others who passed throughout the month of March. And in that month, we do things like we had sound bowl and meditation ceremonies, we had dinners, we had brunches, we had some happy hour. I made impromptu meals and things like that. But what I found in these more than 2 years is there's such like a bonding process that happens among the people that are here, because we're sharing similar, history and stresses and anxieties, and it just kind of is like a space where I feel that a lot of people come and they don't think they're going to exhale, and they actually are exhaling every day. They're letting go of something, so I really find it to be kind of a healing space in different ways for so many people. They get to come together, they get to make new friends, they get to relax. It's a home away from home experience, really.
It is definitely a staycation for people like me who live in San Miguel.
Yes,
I was
yes,
like, maybe we should do a staycation over there.
yes, yes. More than
Also,
welcome.
for the artists, for it's a place of inspiration, I think too,
Mhm.
because you are an interior decorator. So when you come to my house, you will see, like you told me to go to Dolores Hidalgo, and I got
Yes.
some pieces there. And so
Mhm.
it's a place of inspiration as well as rest and healing. And it's also a place of calm.
Mhm.
People need to Number one, come to San Miguel, visit Casa Elm, and stay for a while. But it's a place that you won't expect to feel a sense of peace when you walk in. It's a feeling that will come over you, and you'll be like, I don't want to leave. One of
Oh,
the things that I love about your space in Casa Elm, I love how you share your journey
mhm,
openly. I love how you invite partnership into your life with us around you, us newbies and people who've been here. But I love how you partner with the locals.
mhm.
And now I hate using the word locals now because I think we're locals. I love how you partner with the native Mexican people and you're very intentional about that. Could you shed a little bit more insight as to why you do it that way?
Absolutely. Well, my Shira, Sandra, I talk about her all the time. If she only understood the language, I'd tell her to get on my lives and your live and anyone else so she could tune in. What I've learned is, and this is since I've been here, so I haven't worked with her from the beginning. I worked with her. Just it's been a little over a year, but since I've been here, I've had some really uh, nice and also reliable people. And it kind of, for me, it has really dispelled the myth that everyone's going to try to steal from you and don't do this and don't do that. And I've really had some really amazing workers. I've had some not so, trustworthy people as well. And you just use your discernment. But one of the things that I find beneficial is when you work with the locals, they kind of have the inside scoop on it and skinny on a lot of things, right? There's a lot of word of mouth kind of things that happen in San Miguel, right? We know it now because everything kind of functions on Facebook, right? For the expats, it's like, oh, does anyone know? Or you can search. But within that, there's also another micro community, which are the local Mexicans. And they always have a connect somehow. Like you not believe like how many connections and hookups I've gotten from people. Like I remember when I was moving a couple yeah, when I first came here, I was moving some furniture out of where I used to live, and I was living there for 4 years. And I don't know who I spoke to. And I said, oh, I was moving some things to the storage unit, and the lady at the storage unit gave me a phone number for movers. And they showed up, and this was again in 2018. So we're talking six something years ago. But they showed up, they like moved all this stuff out of this one bedroom, and they charged me like 20 bucks. And I don't think I would have found that. And it was like, you know, of course I paid, well, no, I have to, but I gave them more. But the point is that when you ask for help from the local people, they kind of will keep things in check and balance for you. I always bounce things off of Sandra. Like even this week, I've been working kind of somewhat in the capacity of what I did in Florida for one of my clients, Karen and Dave. I just love them.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
you know, we had a gentleman come out and, he was like, oh, you got to do this, you got to fix that, and you got to do this. I don't think they need to do that. She's like, no, they don't need to do all of that. And it's like they can kind of connect to the nonsense, and you may not always get it or understand things because you don't speak the language. And even though um, your Spanish may not be great with the person you're working with, if you develop a rapport with them, and a Mexican person told me this, they were like, Mexican people are pretty loyal to the ones that are loyal to them. And
Mhm.
I've learned that, and I've had some very amazing workers. I mean, I have a great team right now. I'm so grateful for them. But I find that they're constantly looking out. They're looking out for the better price. They'll tell you when something's nonsense, or question that, or they're not necessarily trying to get over on you, even though I think that is kind of sometimes the consensus. There are times and people this does happen, but I enjoy working with the people that are here. I just find it to be uh, less expensive, number one,
Yeah.
and more trusting in the process because they tend to find just what I need and I don't have to get on Facebook and ask. So I usually typically would say, hey Sandra, can you, call this person and let me know what you think. Like, and I kind of am trying to delegate and let
Mhm.
her be and feel like, oh, I'm in charge of this and I'll pay her for that. I'm not just like, okay, your regular salary. Like I've contacted her. There was a leak right outside the house a couple months ago. My neighbor told me about it and I didn't even notice. It was on the sidewalk. I mean, the US, I don't know if that would be my problem, but
Mhm.
it happened
Mhm.
to be a sidewalk in front of my space. And so he said, there's probably a little leak here because there's all this constant puddle, blah, blah, blah. And I contacted her and I was just like, I don't even want to figure out how to do this. And I was like, can you please call for me and whatever? They were out the next morning at 6:30. I just heard bang, bang. And, so things like this, like, they help you. And I learned this from living here, but I've also learned it that culturally, there's not like a 911 system where people are getting, emergency services out to the smaller towns and the, places like the ranchos or campo
Mhm.
and the campo. So community becomes
Most
your
definitely.
your assistance. Yeah.
And I
So
also learned that you learn Spanish faster that way too.
you do. You
Learn
definitely do. My
Spanish
Spanish has gotten better.
much faster that way. So one of the things that I love about, our dynamic is the fact that we have a lot of longevity in the entrepreneurial space in the States, but you primarily work in the brick and mortar space. That is your niche here in Mexico. I work in the virtual realm. And so what do you see now is the new wave here of newbies, let's just say folks who've come into Mexico within in or San Miguel in particular, or Mexico within the last year to year and a half of entrepreneurs
Okay, so I can tell
cultivating,
you,
cultivating businesses
right.
abroad.
I can tell you that, and I forget her name, but I know her name of her business. She probably was one of the people who inspired me the most. It's called House of Vibes, Haus, and she's in, I believe, Tulum or Playa. And she's a younger woman who started this space and I interviewed her. This was back in the day. I say back
Okay,
in the day when I
I'm
started
looking her up. House of Vibes.
House of Vibe, Haus. It's like a creative space. They like a creative studio. They do like poetry slams and whatever, but they have like a whole digital space where you can come in and be creative. Like it's for creatives, and it's kind of like a co-working concept. And I remember I interviewed her and she was just so like cool, and I remember thinking like this is awesome. I really like the concept, and I did an interview with her and I said, how was it? She told me she came in, it was a shell of a space, and she did all these things. I feel that she was probably the one who helped me formulate these thoughts like, oh, do it this way, right? Or do it that way. She probably doesn't know this, but I remember talking to her and thinking, wow, I love what she's doing. And I love that she just kind of came in, took the bull by the horn, and, started her own thing. And then I remember talking to a few other people who wanted to do or were doing kind of catering, some chefs. And this was mostly in Playa. I didn't have people that look like me in here in San Miguel that, well, take that back. Stephanie also was doing her thing, but she's been here for a really long time. She had her co-working space and she did a lot, she's very heavily involved in a lot of community type things over the years. But I think I kind of felt like, okay, she's with someone who's a local person and she has like kind of like the somebody that can help her through all these processes and things like that. Whereas some of these other folks were just like, I just showed up and I decided to try this,
Right.
yeah. And that was me. I was just like, okay, I just showed up too. And yeah, like I got 10 million ideas. Let's pick one and let's see, right? Let's see which one's gonna,
Let's
let's
see
roll
which
the
one works.
right,
Yeah.
let's roll the dice. So, yeah, so basically doing the do and being inspired by this and moving forward into um, where it made sense, because this made sense because I already started in the digital space, right? I
Mhm.
was in the digital space and I tried to stay in the digital space, but the digital space was not necessarily my strong point.
Mhm.
It was working, but it wasn't where I wanted to be because I like to kind of get in there. Yeah, I wanted to create this space and this is why I'm here, right? So if you ever hear me say anything that sounds like a complaint, just slap me because it was me who chose
Right.
to
I'll be like,
be.
you chose this.
It was your fault. I remember
You chose
Rashida came here right in the beginning and she kind
right.
of looked around and she's like, this is nice. She's like, girl, this is a lot of work. And I was like, and I'm like, no, okay, yeah, it's fine. It's good. Got this.
You got this. And you do got it.
Yeah.
You do got it. So now that you're seeing all of us here, and now there's an influx of business owners here, and how we are supporting each other and the things that we have going on. So Alan, can you do me a favor? I know you're at your computer.
On
Can
her
you please?
Trello with her little
I'm back to
glasses
focus,
on. She's
Tracy.
so cute.
Can you please drop the link to our upcoming
Yes.
summit? So you guys, we are in the beginning stages of planning our Redefining Life Abroad summit. And the reason why we have decided to put this kind of summit on is because I'm sure Michelle has seen this a number of times, and I myself, like others, have seen it when people have moved abroad. Now they're trying to figure out, now what's next, what do I do with myself, how do I redefine my life? And so there is a collective of us who are coming together to help you in the next stages of redefining your life abroad. So the summit is August 9th, I'm sorry, August 11th and 10th and 11th, sorry. 10th and 11th, and you will be able to sign up via the link that Alum is getting ready to drop
Yes.
shortly, and I will put it up and you will be able to get all of the details and information. It is a virtual summit. It is going to be 2 days, and you will learn about money. You will learn about entrepreneurship abroad. You will learn about how to freelance and get government contracts. I will work with you guys on your mental wellness and your mindset, and also how to hit those pleasure points, because if you are not well, it doesn't matter what else you're trying to do in your life. And we will also focus on healing, and then there will also be a Q&A session the next day, the final day, and we will have one-off sessions to help answer and guide you in the summit. So Alan, if she or somebody, because I don't, do I have it up? I may, but I don't want to minimize my screen to find the link. So
Yes,
so
I'm gonna drop it in there.
hopefully she'll drop it in here. So anyway, and I think it's important because that is what we are finding is a need, is
Mhm.
helping people to redefine their life and letting them know you move abroad, and you're trying to figure out the next stage in your life. Like Michelle, clearly is open about like what was her now what, and she went through different evolutions of herself until she was able to beautifully craft Casa Elm. And when I tell you guys, it is a beautiful experience. And I was able
Yeah.
to be a part of the Influencers Weekend, which I was so grateful to be a part of, and to be seen and selected to be able to be on the journey of that weekend that was just so beautifully put together. So she's not
Absolutely.
post on the live. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I could do it. Let
Okay.
me see.
I'm also didn't want to minimize.
I don't know if I can I minimize really quick? Oh,
Let me see if I can find it.
so I may be able to minimize it. And then
Okay.
I think it's in my Safari. So let me see if I can. I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Hey.
So there is the link. I should
Yes,
have done that.
subscribe.
Please subscribe, and I will also be sure to put it in the description so that way you guys will be able to get all of the notifications when all of the information goes live. And the base tickets are going to start at $199 and it will go up from there, but you will be able to have access to a whole bunch of great, wonderful information. So as we close out, I did it. I was able to do it, Dee. As we close out, does anyone have any questions? What I want to say is thank you so much, Michelle, for being a guiding light here in San
Absolutely.
Miguel. You have been a staple in the community. I know a lot of Black folks have found their way to San Miguel because of you. And you continue to be just like a pillar in the community and a place of warm, welcoming, open arms. You are a sister friend. You are
Thank
someone I
you.
thought my stove blew up.
Girl, we got to get those things under control.
Yeah, we gotta get that under control.
Oh, so scary. It's like, you panic because, like I remember when we got it in a group, yours and then Danielle.
Right,
It was
right.
like I didn't even know what to do. I just was like,
What is going on?
is everyone okay? Yeah. So I mean that's a plus about being in the community. It's a plus.
But it just kind of exemplifies the nature of the community that we have here. So if you are already subscribed, I mean, if you are not subscribed, please be sure to go ahead to Casa Elm. The link is in the bio. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow the channel. Follow Michelle. I'm trying to get Michelle, you guys, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm trying to get Michelle to show more of her sister girl side because when I tell you she got one.
I don't know what else to do for you guys.
She has one, so I'm trying to get her to like show like the behind the scenes Michelle.
Listen, I thought about that since we talked about it, and the other morning I was okay. So I did start a TikTok channel. There's nothing on it, and then
That's
I was
okay. You gotta start
walking,
somewhere.
and I was walking. I was like, okay, I don't know if I can just record and upload. And then I looked at the video. I was like, oh, you look a mess. I was looking real sleepy and I was out in the cold weather. I know people don't care, but I just
No,
looked at
they
it
don't.
later. And then I've been thinking about this. I was like, oh, this would be cool to record. I feel like I need something right here on my forehead that I can
But
just
they
hit.
have those. They come up with so many different devices to where
That's
you
what I
can.
need.
They have so. Is it your name on TikTok? Like,
It's
drop it in
Casa,
the.
I think. I think it's Casa Elm. I don't even know, girl. There's
So
nothing on
send it to me in WhatsApp. I'm
it.
going to add it to the description. We're going to all follow Michelle on TikTok as well.
That's forcing me to add
We're going to all
something.
follow Michelle. I am on TikTok. I started going live on TikTok this week.
Okay.
And when I tell you guys, I absolutely love it. So we're going to all follow Michelle on TikTok. I'm going to
Okay.
add those.
Pressure. Look,
We're
see, I don't
gonna,
even know how to get into it. I'm looking at my phone and there's somebody else popping up. It's not me. I'm
so,
pretty sure it's Casa Elm. I think it's just
okay,
Casa Elm.
I'll find it. I'll find
Okay.
it. I'll
Thank
drop the
you.
link and we're
Pressure.
going to support her there.
Breaking out in sweat.
These are going to all be Michelle behind the scenes.
That's what's gonna happen. And it's not gonna be pretty. It's just
We
gonna
don't
be a
want
bunch of
pretty.
random. Okay.
TikTok is not pretty. TikTok is authenticity.
Okay. I
That's
feel
what
like
it
I
is.
need to have then a Michelle. It needs to be Michelle Wedderburn because yeah, we
Yeah.
want people to still show up at Casa Elm.
Yeah. Yeah. Just you can change the name.
I'm
You
gonna
know.
change it to Michelle.
But
Girl.
change it to
All right.
Michelle.
All
All
right,
right,
follow
you
me.
guys.
All right.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Friday Night Live. If you guys have any questions, if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, thank you, Bobby. I know she's not here tonight, but Bobby actually gave me, which is probably going to piggyback a little bit off of this. Michelle is around the way home. She is.
I
You know
am.
what I tell you? Let me tell you. See, I don't drink, but let me tell y'all. And if this was a wine glass, this is Michelle.
That's right. I gotta come. I gotta come in.
Anyway,
Oh my
she is
God.
absolutely that. And we'll cook and we'll feed you. And anyway, okay,
I
because
love
I'll
it.
get
Yeah.
hungry and I want some oxtails. Okay, focus, Tracy. But it'll be your personal branding. So I'm going to talk a lot about developing your personal brand versus your business brand, because I clearly have experienced both, and there is a vast difference in what people want nowadays. They want to know the person behind the brand. So I'm going to be talking next week about that. But be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't liked the video, please do so. And I thank you guys so much for joining me on another edition of Friday Night Live. Thank you
Bye.
guys.
Thank you. Love it.